Hi, everyone. My name is Gabriele Colasurdo. I'm the Manager of Education and Patient Services at Myeloma Canada. Welcome this afternoon for our webinar on Myeloma Monitor, learn how to organize, track, and manage your myeloma. I'm going to be doing a small demonstration about our Myeloma Monitor software. As many of you know, we've updated it this past month, and so there's some new features and some features that have been improved. So I'm just going to go through the whole thing, and you can send me your questions, and we can take it from there. So before we start, I'd just like to thank our sponsors. Thanks to Amgen Binding Site, Bristol Myers Squibb, Janssen, Takeda, and Sanofi Genzyme for their support. Without them, it would be hard to do these webinars. So thanks to them for their support. So how do you ask questions? Well, on your GoToWebinar software, whether it's a computer, a tablet, a phone, you'll have a little questions button, or on the computer, as you can see on, you can't see it on my screen, can you? Let me fix that for you. There we go. So let me just back up for a second here. Let's thank you to our sponsors. So how do you ask questions? You can use the questions function on your device. What you see on the screen is the way it looks like on a PC computer, but it should look similar on a Mac computer. You basically click on the questions tab, it opens up, and you can type in your question, you press send, and that's the way you can send me questions. You could also send your questions in the chat box if you prefer. It's the same concept. There'll be a little thing here that says chat. So whatever you do works for me. I'm going to be checking both of them towards the end of the presentation. So as you know, well, before we get to the next topic, if you have any questions after the webinar, you can either go view the recording on YouTube to find some clarification, or you can always contact me by email, gcolasurdo@myeloma.ca, or on the screen there you'll see my cell number. That's my direct number. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to walk you through the Myeloma Monitor program. So without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing the slides here, and I'm going to share with you my browser. So we'll do that. So as you all know, our webinars are all recorded, so I thought I would show you how to get there. So if you go to youtube.com, and in the search bar you write Myeloma Canada and you press on search, this is what your screen will look like. You see our channel is right here. You can click on this button to subscribe. If you're unsubscribed, it'll be red, and then you can click on the little bell icon here, which will allow you to get notifications. So every time we put on a new video, you'll get your phone will basically send you a notification, or your computer, that a new video has been uploaded. So when you click on our channel, you'll see we have a bunch of videos here. We click on videos. These are basically in chronological order. So this is the most recent video, and so on and so forth. So you can see we have a lot of videos here from this past year plus previous years. So Myeloma Monitor. So let's start by how to download Myeloma Monitor. So you go to myeloma.ca. So as you can see here, we're going to myeloma.ca, and in the in the menu at the top, you click on Resources, and then on Myeloma Monitor right there. So if you scroll down here, you can read a little bit about Myeloma Monitor. And as you continue to scroll, you'll find here all the different download buttons. So depending on the device you want to use, Mac users, computer users will click there, Windows will click here, Android will click there. And this basically will take you to the app stores for these different devices. You can always just go to the app store from your device. For example, on your iPhone or on your iPad, you can go to the app store and type in Myeloma Monitor in the search, and you can find our app that way as well. Any updates that are done are done through the app stores. So whenever we get to the next version of this or the next update, you'll see a little number 1 next to your app store saying, okay, there's an app that you could update, and so that's how that works. The other thing I'd like to call your attention to before we get to the demonstration is this little button here, download the Myeloma Monitor how-to guide. So I'm going to click on that. And this is basically a PDF of how to do different things in the application. So I can walk you through this. For smartphones, you can go to page 49, but for computers and tablets, you can just come here. You'll see there's a instructions or a table of contents showing you where everything is. You can this table of contents. You can so for example, if I want to go to how to reset password or account, page 6, go to page 6. And so here it basically shows you how to do it. So step 1, click there. Step 2, do this. Step 2B, do this. Step 3, do that. So, if you're ever stuck, the how-to guide is a good way to see how to use the different functions. Now, let me stop sharing my browser, and I'm going to share with you the Myeloma Monitor software. So let me go ahead and do that. Please bear with me for 1 second. There we go. So we should see that on the screen now. So when you download Myeloma Monitor, this is what it looks like. So before I log in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate as if you're a new user and you've never, and it's the first time that you're using it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reset my account. It doesn't matter. You don't have to look at this right now. It'll just reset my account, and then I'll open up Myeloma Monitor one more time, and I will show you how it works from scratch. Okay. Okay, well, that didn't work. I need to figure out exactly what happened. So you know what? I'll just log in. So if you need to reset your account, or for whatever reason, you can go here and you can reset your account. You can also reset your password in case you forget it. When you first download the application, you can put in your some safety questions that will allow you to change your password in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in to my account. Okay, there we go. So I've logged into my account. So it actually did reset my account. And so what I'll do is I'll show you how to use it. So at the top, you have your menu, you have your dashboard, you have your quality of life, and I'm going to go through all of these one by one. So for now, we'll just go through them really quickly. Appointments, which is basically a calendar, your results, you don't see anything there right now, medications, contacts, files, and my profile. You can see all of it is empty. The last button here is the how-to guide. So basically the guide that I showed you earlier, you can access it also by clicking on this. Now, some of you may want to use the Myeloma Monitor on different platforms. So on your phone and on your computer, have them on 2 different devices or even 3 different devices. It's important to know that the Myeloma Monitor application, for security purposes, to keep your data safe, does not speak with anybody. Basically, the information that gets put into Myeloma Monitor stays on your computer. It doesn't get sent out to Myeloma Canada. Nobody can see it. It's password protected on your device, and in order for you to have it on different devices, you will have to basically take it from one device, back it up, and restore it on another device. I know it's not the most ideal thing in the world, but the pros and cons of keeping your data safe, we decided that this was probably the best way to go for now. So I'm going to show you how to restore how to back up your information first. So let's say I put in all of my information in here and I want to back it up. Basically, I go to my profile, And then here on the menu on the left, I click on Preferences. And then I see a button that says Backup Database. Click on Backup Database. Yes, I would like to back it up. And it works like any other software. You just go, you can't see what's on my screen right now. It's a limitation of the software that we're using, but basically you can save it anywhere on your computer, on a stick, or anywhere you'd like, and you press save, and it creates a file. Then you can go ahead and you could restore that file on another device. So basically you do the same thing on the other device. You go to My Profile, Preferences, and you go to Restore Database. Do you want to restore data from the backup now? Yes. So I will go ahead and restore that. I know you can't see what I'm doing right now, but you'll shortly see that I've restored my files. Okay, there we go. Restore complete. Now, all of a sudden you can see here on my dashboard that I have some upcoming appointments, and I have some graph results. Quality of life for now is still empty, and you can see here my calendar. Basically, everything I had on my calendar has reappeared. The results here are all my results that I've put in: medications, contacts, files, and back to my profile. So we'll start with before we get to the actual my profile, we'll go back to preferences. And I'll show, and basically I'd like to explain to you that you know, you don't have to use every single function that the myeloma monitor has. It's meant to use what you want to use, and what you don't need, then you simply could just turn it off. So you'll see here in the preferences section, right above the buttons that we were playing with before, you can basically turn different things off into the application, and you see here at the top now, basically I just have a dashboard and a profile. So it's really customizable to exactly what you want and what you want to use. I think in the past 3-4 years that I've been at Myeloma Canada, I've met many different people who are living with myeloma, and some people want to use all the features, some people don't. Some people are happy with their current system of tracking their myeloma, and that's perfect. As long as you're comfortable with the way you're doing things, that's what's most important. The other customizations you can make here is you can set up your tests to track. So if you click on, so this has to do with the results. If you click here, you'll see a huge list of blood tests that you can select or deselect, and you also have some custom fields here. So if there's if a test that you want to follow is not in our list, you can always add it by simply typing in and checking the custom field. Now you'll see here that I've, for simplicity purposes, I've deactivated a lot of the tests, and I've just kept M protein, IgG, platelets, neutrophils, and hemoglobin. For me, those were the tests for this demonstration. Doesn't mean those are the ones that you need to use, but for the purposes of this, that's what I have here. You can also set the min-max buttons or min-max values in the graphs. So what does that mean? So when you get your results back from the hospital or your cancer center, you'll always have a number, and next to it you'll have a range, right? So you can customize the app to have the same range as your results. These ranges can vary from institution to institution. Or cancer center to cancer center. So, if you want to really have it based on, if you want to have it consistent throughout your journey with myeloma based on what the numbers are in your institution, then you can go ahead and you can change that. If you accidentally change one of these numbers and you're having trouble changing them and you're having issues getting them back, you can always use the reset min max values button here, which will basically do a little reset for you. So without further ado, let's start the demonstration. So we'll start with my profile. This is the part of the myeloma monitor that you can basically put anything you want about yourself in there. So you can put a picture. You don't have to put a picture. You can put something that makes you happy. Picture of the ocean or whatever you want. Your name, your email, blood type, gender, birth date, contact information. And a lot of this information is, you'll see a bit later, is translated into this emergency health card that you can print out and put into your wallet in case of an emergency. Then you need to give people important information about your condition. It's a card that you can carry with you at all times. You can have your address. So you see here the profile that I created. So to create the profile, you basically click on this little edit button at the top. And you go ahead and you fill in all the information. See, I've already done that. Here you can select who the doctor that made your diagnosis for multiple myeloma is. Basically, you'd have to have your doctor in your contacts to do that, but simply by pressing on this little button, you can go here and you can select someone from your contacts. So you can basically assign tasks to certain people, and we'll see that as we go along in the different sections. You can put your health insurance numbers, your provincial health card numbers, cancer. If you get a card from your cancer center, you can put that in there too. Insurance numbers, there's a spot for that too. If you have a power of attorney for your health or for your finance, you have information to put that. If you're an organ donor, you can also say yes or no, and if you have a living will, you can say yes or no. So, and you can put any notes you want here about your myeloma. So here I just simply put that this myeloma is an IgG lambda type of myeloma. But you can put in lines and lines of information if you wish. So this is what the final product looks like. So you have all that information here. On the next tab, right here, we have transplants. Here you can put, if you've had a transplant or if you had more than one transplant, you can basically put the dates of your transplant. You can say which institution you did it at, who's the physician. If you had an allogeneic stem cell transplant and your blood type has changed, you can also put that there. Through clinical trial, obviously, because it's not standard of care in Canada yet, an allogeneic stem cell transplant. You can also put information about your treatments, so Cyborg induction, high-dose melphalan, and lenalidomide maintenance, and any notes that you wish. You can do something similar for cytogenetic abnormalities. You can basically add some, you can pick the date here with the calendar. I'll show you how you can use the calendar. There's different ways. You can either use these buttons on the left and the right, or you can click on the actual month and year to select it. So these smaller, the single arrow will go month by month, and the bigger arrow is to change the year. So it's pretty simple to use. So that's karyotype. Transplant is the same concept. You click on new transplant and you can put in all the information here. You start with the date and transplant type and so on and so forth. So to edit a transplant, you basically, all you have to do is click on the transplant and you'll get the information here. Here you can put information about allergies or other health conditions. You can also put information about any vaccines you've taken, so flu shot and the date, the MMR vaccine and the date. And so it's basically a log of anything you'd like to keep track of. Great. So if you have any questions, please do send it into the chat or questions function, and I'll be happy to answer those as we go along. The next thing I'll talk to you about is I guess we'll go from right to left. So we'll talk about the files function. So this is really one of the updates that we've done. Sometimes you have, you're happy with your current system, or your hospital or cancer center gives you documents or electronic copies of your blood tests that you'd like to save, or any other important files. We basically have a section where you can create folders and you can save files. And so to create a folder, you can basically do create folder, and you can write anything you want. So here we can put blood test results. And so we have a folder that got created. then you can come here to these buttons and you can create subfolders, or you can basically add files. The way you add files is like you add files on any other computer. You go to the directory, you click on the file, and you'll be able to see that. So you'll see here that I've created a imaging scans a sample to look at. So classified by year, so from 2018, from 2019, 2020. Now I don't have any imaging scans, so they're just random files, but you can actually access the files by just clicking on them, and they'll open up. So it's also a good way of being able to access your file, not only storing them, but accessing them pretty quickly and all in one place. And when you back up your myeloma monitor from one device to the other, these files will come with the program, so that you don't need to add these files on every single device. You can just have that one database file that gets created and put it onto a different device. Again, if anything, if I'm going a little bit too fast, or if this is not clear, you can always write to me or give me a call, or you can look at the recording that'll be posted on YouTube to view the demonstration one more time. Next, in the contacts section. So, here is basically a place where you can put all important contacts that are related to your myeloma. I mean, you can put any contacts you want if you prefer. You can put all your contacts if you prefer, but most people will maybe just focus on what's on contacts that are directly associated with their myeloma. So, for example, here I have a pharmacist, the hematologist, and the nurse practitioner. With contact information here. So to add a contact, you basically click on New Contact. You fill in all the information here. You can pick them as a favorite or not. That's what this little star is. So the favorites will have a little star, and then you could even look up if you have a lot of contacts, and you can even look them up. So you can look up only the stars, or you can type something here like farm. And you can find the pharmacist, and so on and so forth. So you can put email addresses, you can put phone numbers. It basically kind of works like any contact feature on a phone or any device like an iPad. Next, we have our medications section. So you'll see here that I've added 2 medications, cyclophosphamide and dexamethasone. To do that, you basically click on medication supplement. You can type in the name, so I'll just put test there. You can pick the type of administration. Is it oral, is it injection, or is it intravenous? So we can just put injection. Is it prescribed or over the counter? Prescribed. And here you can put any information about the dosing and instructions. And so, take a pill every 7 days, or whatever instructions you're given to. You could assign from your contacts, you can assign a physician, the date of the prescription number, the drug identification number. So that's all found on the when you get your medication, it's all found on there, all this information that you could basically keep here for safekeeping. You could do the same thing with the pharmacist. You can add that, you can link a pharmacist, and that way you can easily find information. So this is the test one we just created. I'm going to delete that for simplicity purposes. That's how you delete something. You basically click on it, and then you click on delete to delete. So you'll see the completed form here. You can you see it's cyclophosphamide. These are the instructions. It was prescribed by this doctor on this date. This is the prescription number. This is the drug identification number, and it's dispensed by this pharmacy, this pharmacist at this pharmacy. You can also add a picture, so you can take a picture of the pill, you can take a picture of the bottle, you can take a picture of the prescription, whatever you think is best. And to do that, you basically click on the picture here. When it's empty, you do the same thing, and you can click on either change image, take photo, or delete image to do that, and it'll use your camera, or you can find a photo on your computer to place there. The other thing you can do is we have a section here that says view inactive medication supplements, and you'll see we have active buttons. So as many of you know, in myeloma, if a treatment were to stop working, then you need to move on to a different treatment. And so that means that, although you may start taking medications like these in the future, that you'll probably be taking different medications. And so we want to kind of keep a log of what you've, you don't just want to delete a medication just because you're not on it. It's good to have a log. So to do that, for example, I could deactivate cyclophosphamide, and then I can click on View Active Medications and Supplements, and you'll see here, so view inactive medications and supplements. So right now you see cyclophosphamide disappeared. There's just dexamethasone. If I click on View Inactive, you'll see that cyclophosphamide has appeared. So basically, if I also want to deactivate dexamethasone, you'll see when I come to my current medications or my active medications, there's nothing there, but it's always saved in the background. So that's a good way to have a log to say, okay, I was on these medications in the past. So that's that section. Next is the results section. So here's where you can put in all of your lab tests and you can graph them as well. So to add lab tests, all you'll do is click on this button here at the bottom, results, and you'll see you'll have your list of tests over here. You have your date here. So the first step is to pick the date. So you basically click on the date. You can go to whenever the test was, select the date, so September 10th, and you can go on and you can type in whatever values that were on your lab results, and then you can click close. So as you see here, I've already done this for you to show you how it could look when it's all filled out. I did a year, so from July 2019 to July 1st, 2020. You'll see here these little L's and these little H's. So these little L's and these little H's basically are just to give you a quick snapshot if you're in the range or out of the range that you've put into the program. So if I click here on the 135 where there's the little L, it'll take me to that result. So I can see it's from December 1st. It's the hemoglobin 135, and you see it's lower than the 140 here, and that's why there's a little L there. So it's basically a nice snapshot, a nice way to tell how your numbers are doing in comparison to that range that you have in the document. For something like M protein, in people who do not have plasma cell dyscrasia or a plasma cell dyscrasia such as multiple myeloma or smoldering myeloma or MGUS, some of the precursors of precursor conditions of myeloma, M protein is not something that's normally found in their blood, so it'll always have a little H there because the normal value is 0. So it's not to be alarming, but that's just the way the program works. Here you have a display section. So sometimes you just when you're typing in the tests, it could get confusing when there's so many of them. So you can basically just display 1 or 2 of them at a time, and you don't have to display all of them all the time, just for simplicity, just to see them properly. Here you have a date range. This is specifically for the graphing function that you'll see that I'll go over next. But if you click on date range, you can basically say, okay, well, I want my graph to show me from this date to this date. So simply click on the date, and you can use the buttons to play with the year and the month, and then you can just select the date. You can do the same thing with this is the start date with the end date. You can do the same thing. Basically, I'll just keep it the same. You can click on apply, and that'll be that. You can also add tests by clicking on the little plus here instead of this one. It's just an easier way of doing it. So if I click here, you'll see it'll just give me that specific test. So if I click on the plus here, it'll just show me hemoglobin. If I click here, it'll show me all the tests. So it depends on how you prefer to add your blood tests in there. You have basically multiple ways of doing it. So once everything is put in, you can click on this little button here to graph it. And so you'll see here, a little blue line. It'll look different depending on the platform you're using. On the Mac, the line's going to be a bit thicker. It's just limitations of the different softwares that we're using. So this line's a little thin, but you can still see it. And you have a little scroll bar, so you can scroll through your lab results. And the little red lines at the top, the 180 and the 140, those are the reference ranges that we talked about earlier. So by simply just going through the whole graph, you can see, okay, well, I'm in the range. We're doing well. You know, if you're outside of the range, you know, obviously, you know, you know, speak to your doctor. It doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, that it's a totally bad thing. And you know, your condition is different than everyone. Your condition is your condition. So just because you go out of the range for one reading, doesn't mean that you know, that the worst is happening. It's always important to speak to your doctor and to basically look at the trends of the graph. So is the graph going up a lot, is like constantly all the time, or is it always going down, or is it staying relatively stable? So I would say that from what I see here, it's relatively stable, going up and down. So that's the results section. So you can do that. You can graph any of them. So just click on it and you see platelets. You see the reference line at the top and at the bottom. And to go back, you can either click here or here. Different options of going back to the table format. Next, let's go to appointments. This is basically a calendar. A lot of you have your own calendars. You don't have to use this calendar, but if you do, I can show you the different features that we can use in our calendar. So firstly, to change the month, you can click the left and right arrows. You can view it by day, by week, or by month. I prefer the month view personally. And these little red dots are the red dots, and the blue dots are the different things that I put into the calendar. So red corresponds to appointment, blue corresponds to prescription, green would be a milestone, and yellow would be a task. So you can add, basically click on all these to add anything you want. So if I want to add an appointment, I can click here, type in the subject of my appointment, test. And if I click on the wrong button, it's okay, because I can always change it to either a task, a milestone, or a prescription. Location information, start date and end date here. So if you click on that, you can pick your date as we did before, and you can also pick the time for the appointment. Once you've done that, you click on OK. So I'm just going to go back to where it was. Okay, click on OK. And then I can assign contacts from my contact list if there's someone I'm meeting, and write a description of exactly what it is. And so here you'll see it just appeared here. We added it to test. To delete the test or to delete anything on your calendar, you can just click on delete, yes, and it will disappear. Now, for the prescriptions, we have an additional option. So if you click here on the refill dex item, and you'll see at the start and stop date on the right hand side, there's this little arrow. So this is basically if you want to repeat or you want to have recurrences in your calendar. So you could basically pick the time. Every 1 day or every 2 days or every 3 days, you can type in the number there, or it could be weeks or it could be months, whatever you need the recurrence to be. The start date is this, the end date. You can pick an end date with your calendar by clicking on it, or you can say, well, okay, I just need to do it 12 times, or I need to do it 5 times, and you can just repeat it 5 times, and the end date will select itself. It will figure it out itself based on the number of repeats that you put. And you would click on save to add that recurrence. So that's basically the calendar. You can add a milestone. Milestones are meant to be positive things, you know, or things that you'd like to remember. So For example, if you did some exercise, or you ran a half marathon or something, and you want to keep a log of it, you would use the milestone function. Quality of life. So the best way to show you how the quality of life works is to just do the demo. I can add information about my quality of life by clicking on, first I select the date, so let's do today, and I'll click on the plus button. I'll select a time for the log. So let's say I woke up this morning, let's say 8 a.m. We'll pick 8 a.m. create. Now we can fill in all this information. Before I go ahead and do that, I could just let you know you can do multiple, if you wish, you can do multiple logs a day. So I can click on this red button again, and I can do a log at noon, for example, create. And then you see here at the top, we'll have two different tags, one for 8 and one for 12. You can go through and view your old logs. I don't have anything in here right now, but if I did, you would be able to see them. The other thing you can do is by clicking on the date. It will show you which the numbers, the dates that are in red tell you dates that have something logged already. So for example, if I go to August 6th, I put some information over here. So basically I'll show, so this is what it looks like filled out. So you can type in the number of hours you've slept, your weight, your blood pressure, your temperature, whatever you wish. You don't have to do it, you could do it. If you want to delete an entry, here's the delete button right here. You can just delete that. And you can rate things of your quality of life, such as your best well-being. So you can say very good or very bad. Your pain, so is it excruciating pain or not so much? So basically just click and drag and drop how tired you're feeling, your drowsiness, your nausea, your lack of appetite, your shortness of breath, depression, anxiety. And you have options here to add some custom features. So just as a side note, if I go back to my profile and in preferences, we can see here for the quality of life section, we have set up quality of life markers to track. And so you can see we can activate or deactivate the ones we want to use. And we can add some custom ones here. So we could put anything really, and we can activate the custom. So I'll show you if I close that and go back to my quality of life. And I go back to the date that it was on, August 6th. You'll see here that the custom value here is, so you can rate anything that you feel is worthwhile or helpful for yourself. At the bottom here, you can put information, some positive information, like today was a good day because I went for a run, I was able to complete the following activities. Today's challenges were, so what was a little bit harder for me today. And that way you can have a log throughout the days. It's important to know that when you add a new value here, so let's say I add one at 340, this top part will change that you rate, but the bottom part will stay constant. So you can update that throughout the day as you go through it. The next feature here is if you're experiencing any side effects that you'd like to log, then you can basically click on side effects here. You can select the date, and you can click on the red button at the bottom, add side effects, and you can say I had a headache, and then you can type in any information about your headache. And you can have that in the side effects. The next option I'd like to talk to you about is the pain mapping. So the pain mapping is not only for pain, you can use it for something like a rash, for example. And I'm going to see here if I have the names, and I don't have the example here, but I'll explain it to you. So we'll go to an empty date. So let's say August 8th. To add a pain marker, you click on the plus, and you'll see this little green marker will add up. It has a little number 1. So you can basically put it on either the front or the back of the body. So we'll put number 1 here on the head. and I will rate the pain. So I'll say it was a 9, and in the notes I can say it was a headache. The next thing you can use it for is, for example, a rash. How many times do you get a rash, and it kind of progresses, it changes every day, and then by the time you go to the hospital and you see the doctor, there's no more rash and you can't show them anymore. So this is a good way to log your rash on a daily basis. So I will say that there is a rash here on the calf. It's a little bit painful, and I can put in the notes that it's a rash right there. And then I can even take a picture. So if I were to just click there, I can either select an image that I've already taken, or I can take a photo using my computer. Okay, and I can't show you how to take a photo, unfortunately, since I'm sharing this document, but you get the idea. You take a photo with your camera, and you'll have the picture of the rash there. And then you can go, and the next day on August 9th, you can basically, you'll see that there's different options. You can either add pain markers, or you can copy yesterday's pain markers. So I'll go back to August 8th. So this is what we just added. August 9th right now is empty. I click on copy yesterday's pain markers. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. And you'll see a copy and paste happen. So instead of having to redo all this, I can say, okay, well, today my headache was a little bit better. My rash felt a little bit better as well, and I can take a new photo to show you how it looks like today. So that's a good thing to have when you go to your appointment. You can pull up your phone or your tablet, and you can say, okay, well, this is my rash on day 1, my rash on day 2, and it's a good way to do that. So to exit that, you click on X. So that, I think, does it for the quality of life. Now, dashboard. So today at a glance, basically, if I had any appointments today, it would have a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3 based on how many that I have. And then you have a list here of your upcoming appointments. So December 10th, I'm seeing the hematologist. I have to refill. I have swimming class. So it'll fill up based on how you use your calendar. Here you can pick one result that you want to see when you first open the app. So this page, the dashboard page, is basically the first thing you see when you open the app. So if there's one particular blood test that you really want to keep track of and you want to see first, you can just select it. So hemoglobin, and you can scroll just like we did earlier. You can scroll through the results and see it. This button will take you to the results section. Goes without saying. I talked to you a little bit about the milestones earlier. So here you can put in your milestones. So for this particular fake profile, 10 years with myeloma was celebrated on June 12th, 2018, and the half marathon was on June 3rd. So that the latest milestones will appear there. This here will tell you how you've completed your quality of life block for that day. So red means you haven't done it. So just to show you how it changes, if I go back to quality of life and I go to today and I just kind of, just do a few of them and go back, you'll see it's yellow. So it's not quite finished. It's partially done. So that's a good way to remember that. Here you have a section for questions for your healthcare team. So you can add a question. You can type in a question here. You can type in a question, the answer to the question there. Obviously, if you don't have a question, if you don't have the answer, then you can leave that blank and you can go back and type it in once you do know the answer to that question. Once you've talked to your doctor, you can even say, okay, well, this question I'm going to assign it to my hematologist. So and then I click on close. So now you see the number here before was 2, now it's 3. For the question that I just added. If I click on the number, you'll see that I can see all my questions. These are the same concept with the medications. You can activate or deactivate questions so that you can have them in the background, so you don't lose them. So next, you have a little print icon here. I can click on print, and it will print out my question list, and it'll even say who the question is for. So, you know, if in this list you have 3 questions for your hematologist and 1 question for your nurse, then I guess maybe I can show you what it looks like. Let me share it. So it's just a very simple piece of paper that you can print out, or you can or just save the PDF to your computer. Questions report. So you'll see it in a second. So this is basically what it looks like. So hematologist, can I take a break from treatment? And so on. So I'll close that and I'll go back to the application. Once you have the answer, you click on the question and you can type in the answer. So if the answer was no, because, you can type it in there and click on close. And that way the answer is always saved. Great. So we'll get out of this section here. Now next, here you have some news headlines. So these are basically links that will take you to our website. So our My Myeloma Resource Center, you can click on there and it'll take you there. You can sign up for our newsletter, go to our website, or view our educational videos on YouTube. Those are direct links to there. And the last section I want to talk to you about is right here is the reports section. So based on the quality of life information that you put into the document, you can create a PDF of or a piece of paper that you try to print or keep as a PDF of the quality of life. So basically a graph form of what you've put. So what are the quality of life symptoms that you're struggling with the most? And by clicking on that, you'll be able to see it. The questions, we already saw it. It's a duplicate feature. You can either access your questions from here or from the other section. So I'll try to see if I can show you the quality of life. And so I'll do that next, right here. Bear with me for a few seconds. So you have some identification information on the top, and then you'll have a log of the last 30 days for your quality of life. So what you've rated all of these different items, and the custom one will also appear there. Next, I'm going to show you the emergency health card. So I'll go back to the Myeloma Monitor app right here, and you click on emergency health card. Report has been created, and I'll show you that. Let me share that with you. So this is one of the new features here, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. So you see here, this is something you can print out and you can fold along both lines and the middle lines here and there, and it folds up kind of like a business card that'll fit into a wallet or a purse. And it has your personal information that you have. So whether also if you're an organ donor, if you have a living will, the year you were diagnosed. You can put in your emergency contact. So in your contact section, you have the ability of assigning emergency status to some of the contacts. Any other medical conditions will appear here. Any allergies will appear here. You can put contact information for your healthcare team here with their phone numbers. And that's all done through the contacts section. So if you need more detailed information on how to do that, I'd be happy to speak with you over the phone or to talk to you over email. So any medical and surgical history, so the transplants, any vaccination history will appear here. Current medications, your top 3 medications you're on will appear here, whether they're prescription or whether they're over the counter. And lastly, all of your health card information. So what's your provincial healthcare number, what's your insurance provider name and contract numbers, and power of attorney also appears there. So in case of emergency, it's always useful to have that. So let's go back there. I think I've gone through everything. I can just for 1 second, I'll go back to the contacts and I'll show you how where to find the information about the emergency health card. So on any of the contacts, if you just basically click on the edit button for that contact, you'll see here include on emergency health card. So yes or no, yes or no, and then you can pick which phone number you want to appear. So if I pick the business phone, it'll show whatever business phone is there, home phone, mobile phone. So you can pick that. And that will directly translate to your health card. So I think that's it for the demonstration. I'll see here if there's any questions that have come in. Yep, I see a question here. Oh, lots of questions. So let's go to let's start with the first question. Okay. So the first question is, can you have multiple users? No, you can't have multiple users. Right now it's one username, but that doesn't mean that multiple people can't use it. For example, you and your caregiver, or you and your loved one can use the same profile, or you can have a different profile on a different device. So you could have a profile with your login information on one device, and they could have a profile on their device with their own login information, but you can still take that backup file and share it between both profiles. But obviously for something like this, you're going to have many different versions. The more people that use it, you'll have many different versions. So there's pros and cons to having multiple users on a device. So right now that's not a feature. That doesn't mean that we won't have one in the future, but for now that's how we have it. So is there any sharing, syncing of data, Myeloma with other programs on your calendar? No. So it does not speak with anything. Basically, whatever information you put in the Myeloma Monitor app stays in the Myeloma Monitor app. It's not sent online to us or to anywhere. It's really on the computer. There's no sharing, and we did that for security purposes. We don't want valuable information to get into the hands of people, of other people. In the future, we can obviously, if there's a need and if people agree, we could find ways to capture that information and to use it for certain things. But for now, in the present, we're erring on the cautious side. Can you have more than one picture at a time in the medication section? Unfortunately, you can't. I guess it would be useful, and I can write that down as a future update, to have multiple pictures that you can perhaps scroll through. That we can definitely do that. And so that's it. And the last question I have here, what's the most seamless way to use the app on both my phone and my MacBook? So again, basically what I showed you at the beginning, and I'll go through it one more time very quickly, because I know that we're almost done for time. So I'll open up my Myeloma Monitor again. And so if you log in, so if you're asking for my opinion, what's the most seamless way to do it? So I have it on my computer and I have it on my cell phone. So I go to preferences. I prefer to use it on my computer, and when I'm looking and to view it or to show someone else, I prefer on the phone since it's more portable. So I would back up the database here and I would save the file to my computer. Then I can take that file and I can put it onto my cloud drive, or I can email it to myself, or in some way that I can access it from my phone. So I get that file on my phone somehow, and then from my phone I do the same thing. I log in, I go to my profile, I go to preferences, I click on restore database, I click yes, and then I select the file, and all of a sudden I have a carbon copy of what was on my computer on my phone. I'll go to a doctor's appointment, for example. I will use my phone to update anything, and then I'll do the vice versa. I'll take it, I'll back it up, and I'll put it onto my computer the next time that I use the app. So for me, that's the most seamless way to use it. Or the best I guess the most seamless way to use it is to just use one device. So use your phone or use your iPad, carry it with you, and use that. And that way you don't have to worry about having multiple devices. So pros and cons to both of them, but whatever works for you is the best. The one thing that I do highly recommend is that no matter what, whether you use one device or two devices or three devices, that backup file, save it, keep it somewhere so that, you know, if something were to happen, at least you can always access the information on a new device with Myeloma Monitor. So with that, I'll check if we had got any more questions. Okay, so I see that's it for the questions. I'm going to put my contact information up one more time for you before we end the webinar. And there we go. So that's my contact information. You can email me, or you can give me a call directly on my cell phone, and I'll be happy to speak to you. So with that, thank you everyone for taking the time to join us today. I hope that you have a better idea on how to use the Myeloma Monitor. And again, it's been recorded. This has been recorded, and it'll appear on our YouTube channel very soon. So take good care, and wish everyone a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.